Joining me here in the studio is Kamrava, Professor of Government at Georgetown University here in Qatar, and also Sultan Barakat, Professor of Public Policy at Hamad bin Khalifa University. Thank you again for coming in so very quickly to talk to us about this latest attack here on Qatari soil. We just heard there from the Saudis. We've heard from the UAE. Saudis saying that they will help in any way they can. What do you think they mean by that? Just diplomatic or to protect the state of Qatar?
Well, there is a joint defense agreement between the Gulf states. And I think the tone and the words of the Crown Prince are the most appropriate, probably, form of condemnation that we've heard so far. And it is really, obviously, there is a moral support for the Qataris, but also it restores some faith in international law and standards and sovereignty and, states standing for what they should really be doing. I just wanted to bring the issue that we should not really forget that there has been a pattern with Netanyahu, because the central story remains Gaza. And over the last 2 years, every time the negotiations reached a stage where there is a potential agreement, even with pressure on Hamas to agree to a deal, he will do something horrible like this. And he will also do something like this when he is about to unleash horror on the Palestinians. And at the moment, two things are happening. Gaza, he's insisting on the 1 million people to leave Gaza. He's going to destroy it all. And they're probably the closest ever, Hamas, in terms of major compromises to get on and release the hostages. He just does not want this to happen. He did the same, started in January 2024 with the assassination of Al-Arur in Lebanon. And then he did it again when there was a ceasefire with the assassination of Haniya. And he goes on. So it looks like it's part of his playbook. He's waiting. He gets the Americans to put pressure. Everybody puts pressure on Hamas. Then Hamas sits in the corner. They deliberate. And then they come say, well, we may consider this. Then he makes it impossible for them to consider it. So what you quoted from that relative of the hostage in Israel, I really feel her fear. And I think he has really now signed he's condemned them to death. He's signed their death certificate by going after the very last possibility of talking to Hamas. And of course, we need to keep in mind that the leaders here, they're not the ones who take decisions independently from the leadership in Gaza. All they were doing is to facilitate communication with those on the ground. And he's not made any attempt to improve the situation in Gaza, to allow them the hope that the release of the hostages will lead to an end of war.
And just also in the time that we have been speaking, Iraq has responded. We have a response from Oman. Of course, all of them strongly condemning this. I want to turn the attention to what Israel is saying. Israel Katz, the defense minister, has said just a day ago, if Hamas doesn't accept the Trump proposal, it would annihilate it. That's been its goal right from the start, and has promised to go after everyone and to continue with those attacks. So are we likely to see that happen again if it is the case that the Hamas leaders haven't been killed? And also, how can we even move forward with this war if it continues to act with complete impunity and no one's stopping Israel in any way, shape or form, despite the international condemnation?
Exactly. It is obvious that Netanyahu and the Israeli military establishment will not stop at any price. It's important to remember that the attack today in Doha was in a residential area in the vicinity of a school. And Israeli army radio is announcing that 10 or 15 Israeli planes took part in the attack, and that they engaged in an area is extremely vulnerable and dangerous. But obviously, the Israeli government doesn't care simply about kids in that school.
I mean, Qatar is such a tiny country that all the facilities
and
are
the airport is one of the busiest airports in the region. They were not given any warning. They did not close the airspace.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop you both there. We are going to come back to you, but we've run out of time for this news hour. Let's go.